Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us. Welcome to Football Then and Now, episode 12. Myself and Chris, who's waiting in the wings. We've not done an episode for a while, have we, Chris, together? So it's good to be back. This is episode 12, and it's going to be a latest roundup. We're going to be looking at Everton's huge win after 13 and a half years at Goodison in the derby. And we're also going to look ahead to Tottenham-Arsenal, which is a huge game with the title ramifications and Spurs going for top four, of course. And some other bits and pieces. I'm sure you'll have stuff to talk about as well. So, yeah, we're back, mate. We're back together doing it because we've been off doing our own thing.
Well, I wouldn't say we're going off doing our own thing. You know what I mean? We've just been very busy bees, haven't we, really? But, you know, when you say about the Everton score, give it a bit more historic, you know what I mean? Big it up a bit more, Stu. Make sure any Liverpool fans listening to this can hear it.
Nobody saw it coming, I don't think, and they're as bad as Liverpool have been because they beat Fulham on the weekend. I had this, I'm not going to lie, I said it'll be 3-1 Liverpool beforehand, and a Liverpool fan came to me and said it'll be 2-2, and I poo-pooed that, but my word, what a performance. Tracksuit Sean Dyche is on a roll, mate. Just incredible. And I think also we've took 10 points from the last 5 as well, Chris. What did you think?
Well, it's completely changed around. If you look to, a couple of weeks ago, 10 days since we played Chelsea and got an absolute thumping, and we were dreadful that game. I mean, I obviously spoke to you on WhatsApp and a lot of choice words, but what a turnaround! You got a massive game Sunday just gone against Forest, and the pressure cooker of that. We come away without flying colours. Yeah, there might be some dubious fouls by Ashley Young, but hey-hos, it's nice to have the rub of the green go our way for once. And we're going to the derby, and I think most Evertonians are thinking, all right, just get through this one. And, we've still got the rest of the games, to go that we can still pick up points. Lo and behold, we would turn up an absolute boss Liverpool everywhere. Yeah, they had the chances, but we bossed him, and the whole team was up for it. You could hear that the crowd were egging every single player on. If it was a tackle, a set piece, just a simple pass, and you could see how up for it everyone was. 11 players on the pitch, to 40,000 people sitting there watching it, live at the ground. And it resonated with everybody. It's taken 14 years to get this monkey off our back, minus a few dubious decisions along the way those 14 years. But you could not take that away from us. And you could see when that final whistle went, how much it meant to us. Beating Liverpool, I'd say, it's massive for us, yeah. Maybe it doesn't mean as much to them. But I look at it this season, if I'm honest, and say that's a bonus 3 points we weren't expecting to get, if I'm honest with you.
I called it. I was on national radio last week, mate, when he asked me, what do you do? We can't get anybody else in. I understand the frustrations and the bad run he went on. Talking about Sean Dyche here for people who don't know. I'm not going to defend. Some of the games have been frigging terrible, but, when we played in that manner like we did against Liverpool, I go back to his first game in charge last January against Arsenal.
Yeah.
That dogs of war mentality almost. It is in there. It is in there 100%. At the back, slide tackles, Godfrey, one off the line, Tarkowski, which they've been doing that in games. I mean, we've had a lot of clean sheets this season as well, haven't we? I know we've had some beatings, haven't we? But our goal difference, when you look at it, is a hell of a lot lower than the clubs down there, because if we hadn't picked these points up, we would have probably been looking at the goal difference, Chris, especially after Chelsea, because we were down to minus 16 then, we were level with Forest. I couldn't have seen this over the 2 games. Yeah, possibly Forest. I think it wasn't a massive surprise getting the win. It's the manner that they've done it in the 2 games, and Forest can get lost anyway. I mean, Ashley Young, the handball, the penalty decisions, I thought were a bit dubious anyway.
Right.
They started being ballsy when they got promoted, when VAR went their way before they came up to the Premier League as well. I've heard about that, so they can shut up the Forest contingent for my liking. What do you think?
To be honest with you, I felt for them with the point deduction, just obviously, at the point, because obviously we've been through it and we understand it. But I think, listening to them, they're chanting and the same old, chants we get every game, and it's all, unnecessary, and we can't get a job and all that bollocks. Yeah, you know what I mean? Have you seen Forest, Nottingham itself? Like, they're crashing as a city itself. You should be really focused on your own food banks instead of taking a piss out of us. That got me up a bit wound up. I get the penalties when you're saying about Ashley Young. I think they could have been given any other day, because we've seen.
No, it's happened to us. Of course it has. Sometimes we were due that. We were due it, weren't we? That's not us just because it's Everton. We've had a lot of clubs have had it where the VAR's gone against them. So it was our time, wasn't it, mate? Yeah. But I just can't believe the turnaround after that drubbing at Chelsea. But everything that could have gone wrong went wrong on Monday. Last Monday. That was just one of them, wasn't it? But Pickford, it's Pickford all over, isn't it? He's been absolutely fantastic for the last 2 games. Shot stopping. It was playing out from the back and playing the ball back. It happened to United the other night with an Arne. Just don't play out from the back. It's simple.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's that, and there is some ways I'd say that I get. You need to mix it up, and constant long balls are frustrating to watch. I'm never gonna say to you that Dyche's football is riveting and it's tiki taka and it's amazing to watch. It's not. It gets the job done. But it kind of get the idea, but it obviously went to put against Chelsea when we did try it out the back. But maybe that was a foot up the arse, a nice boot up the arse that we needed. Going into these last games, maybe that 6-0 drubbing was exactly what we did deserve. But a wake up fucking call.
Look what happened. Look what happened to Chelsea on the weekend, though.
Well, they got the reverse back to them, didn't they?
So. Okay, you can make a case. Cole Palmer's out, but one player don't make a team. I mean, he's been fantastic, but a lot of clubs are susceptible to it, aren't they? You can get hammering. It just goes to show, doesn't it? But we've not been hammered like that for a long time. But my God, just I keep harping on about it, mate. The turnaround, the absolute turnaround. 6 points. We've not conceded a goal in the 2 games. It's just thank God, mate. And what do you think now going into Brentford? Do you think we need one more win, or would a point be all right Saturday? I know we want to go in and keep the momentum going and get as many points as we can in these last 4. I'm thinking Brentford are good in attack, but they can be got at the back. They're not great at the back, are they? What are your thoughts and feelings in terms of, obviously we want to win it. Do you think we just need to get to the 36 just to say that's safe?
Well, when I was on the Unholy Trinity podcast yesterday with Mike and Lee, and we spoke about Brentford, they have got better since Ivan Toney come back. But then Lee and Mike were saying about Wissa and I can't say his name. The other guy,
Bueno.
That's it, Bueno. Yeah. Let's say Kinder Bueno, and then I'd know them.
Yeah.
Not a racist mark there. But they were fantastic against Luton. I think everyone was quite surprised that Luton shipped at home that many goals against Brentford.
I watched it as well. I watched that game last week. Sorry.
We've played 2 games in the space of 5 days, which is the norm. But it's a quick turnaround again on Saturday. Again, they're coming thick and fast. Obviously, the Liverpool game was a game in hand, wasn't it? Because he got moved. I think it's to the point where we have to keep the momentum going, and there are going to be tired legs because it's been balls to the wall for the last 2 games we've had, especially on Wednesday against Liverpool, which is always going to be that kind of game anyway. But you've got to ride that momentum, Stuart, and I think we need to get this win. And I said this on their podcast yesterday that it'd be nice to beat Bournemouth, and then I think then we are completely safe. I think we're safe now, but just to cement it on
Yeah, of
Saturday.
course. Just to
And
make
then-
it mathematically impossible for Luton.
Of course. But then we got 3 games left.
Yeah.
And then wouldn't it be nice in those 3 games? There's no pressure, and you can actually enjoy a game of football for once being an Evertonian and have nothing riding on it. And I think that to me would be fantastic because the last 3 years, every game up to this point has been riding on staying.
It's been right up down to the frigging wire, mate. It's
it.
just.
So it'd be nice. Be nice to go to next Friday against Luton and nothing riding on it, and just enjoy a game of football.
We do need to get the points against Brentford, obviously leading into that, just to make it sure. Because
but this is what I mean: is it'd be nice if we did, and then we don't have to focus on anything else. Then
they've had our number in 2 games at Goodison. Do you know what I mean?
But they've got a lot of injuries now, Stuart, and I think they've imploded a bit.
They haven't looked great in more recent times. I fully agree. As I say, it's not just that. Lewis Potter as well. He had a good game last week. He was very good. He's a good young talent. Region's been good for them as well. I've got to be fair. But it'll be interesting. And as you say, another home game. Hopefully the atmosphere is as.
I think it will be, Stuart. I think it will be.
Yeah. It's
ride
great.
Ride that wave of momentum. Finish the job, right? And I don't think anyone could care less about the next 3 games. Obviously we still want to flip and get something, but you know what I mean? It'd be nice that even if we did lose to Luton, who cares? In a way, okay, it'd be frustrating, yes, but there's nothing on it. And we can now think, okay, we can start looking at next season, obviously, and the background of Everton and the takeover and what's going to go forward then. I think, you can start thinking about that. But obviously, again, we have to beat Brentford, and Brentford are on a good run at the moment. They haven't lost in 5, I think. But like I said, we just beat Liverpool. They were challenging for the league. And, we proved that we're not a soft touch as everyone thinks we are.
I'd tell you what, that toss of the Irish lad for the Anfield agenda, crying, whinging, absolutely being disparaging about Jurgen Klopp. He can go. It's like he has won you a lot of stuff, but then the guys from the Anfield rap, their clips came up, and they must have been in a pub around by Anfield, and they give Everton their due on their show. He said we were second best. He says I've got to go into work tomorrow. There's loads of blue roses in there. Family again being split red and blue. The other lad's like, my WhatsApp's been blowing up. But he said you can't take anything away from Everton. You don't mind that when they're humble in defeat, the opposition.
And then don't forget, Stuart, Liverpool fans aren't very good at losing either. So it's nice to hear someone give us the accolades we deserve.
It's refreshing, other than that Irish tosser that gets on my nerves, who's got loads of subscribers when he shouldn't have. But hey ho, that's a story for another day. But just DCL's header, mate. DCL's work rate out on the wing.
Who did that remind you of? That header? What did it remind you of?
There's only one man, Dunk, who we're going to talk about in a future episode about the Premier League's toughest players. But it was very much akin to Dunk in the air. They've got big lads at the back, but when he gets that leap, and that's what he was doing when he was scoring all them goals under Ancelotti. That is what he was doing. But it was his work rate. And he's coming for a bit of stick, hasn't he, with all them games that he didn't score. But now, 3 and 4, Chris, he's done well, hasn't he, in more recent times?
Coming back, isn't it? I mean, it's a bit of a shame it's towards the end of the season. So hopefully, going into next season, and he keeps it going, keeps that momentum going, and hopefully we can get some players to back him up a bit more. Yeah. Maybe Dwight McNeil. I know he's had a very hit and miss season, hasn't he? Comparison to last season, he has put shifts in when he's had to, and I still think he's been really good. But again, not as good as last season. When
he gets the deliveries, fully correct, mate.
That's what we need. And then obviously someone on the right hand side, Stuart, because obviously I'm assuming we're not going to keep Jack Harrison, and okay, that's a shame. But he's been extremely hit and miss this season. He's gone missing. He's gone missing a little bit. He was a lot better earlier on in the season. I fully agree. And
Young was all right on the left the other night.
All right, but yeah, I did panic. I said this to Matt yesterday. I was like, oh God.
I was like you. But on the right, oh my God, he's been a liability, hasn't he? But fair play, because he's had a really good season. But
well, Chris, he had Salah in his pocket, didn't he? Mikalenko.
Yeah.
Before and after he was injured, he was. Yeah. But then I had two lads at mine watching the game, and both Liverpool fans, and they said that Salah's gone missing for a long time now. That his head's turned, and he's looking for a way out now.
His shots are going over the bar all the time. He's not as ruthless as he was. I can't believe the amount of chances he misses, but it was good for us. But thank God, Chris, with games to spare, we're nearly there. We're not getting into the second to last game again. Or imagine it had gone to the Arsenal game, the last game of the season.
I don't want to imagine that, Stuart, because they're going for the title. And
that's what I'm saying. It's
been a horrible existence
that day. Thank God for that. Now, moving on, Chris. Arne Slot, obviously, is being linked heavily now with Feyenoord. They're getting very vocal about him coming to Liverpool, I should say there. I got that wrong. What do you think? I'm sceptical, but it's always going to be tough for the person coming in after Klopp, isn't it? But I don't think the guy's done enough. Klopp had won things in Germany before coming, so you had an inkling that he could do pretty well. I think he's exceeded expectations. But what are your thoughts on Arne Slot, who is looking like he's going to be the new manager for Liverpool?
Listen, I don't mind Arne Slot. I think he does what he can do with Feyenoord, and it's a very interesting league, isn't it? The Dutch league, especially with Ajax struggling the way they are this season. Feyenoord have always been up there, haven't they, for years? But you don't see them, taking control of the Dutch league. Arne Slot, he plays differently in a way to Klopp. I think more Pep style, but he likes that number 10. And you know what I mean? And we don't see a lot of that in the Premier League anymore. I know Decore's there, but Decore drops back a lot. I think, Szoboszlai could benefit a lot, or Elliott as well. Harvey Elliott from Liverpool, because he plays that number 10 slot. He could get something out of them differently than people might imagine. But again, I said this to one of my other friends who's a Liverpoolian, and have Dutch managers done well enough in the Premier League? Not with a big club. I know Van Gaal did what he could with United and did win them the FA Cup, of course, but not without a struggle. This is, going into it, and Liverpool, where all the players treated Klopp like God, didn't they? And you seen the amount of them that look like their heads have been down, since Klopp in a way has said he's leaving. So it's a big task for him to come in and then rejuvenate a Liverpool team that's just lost, their best manager in a very, very long time. But I think he'll be all right. I just think he's got a bit more steel about him. Like I said, he likes to use the ball pretty much like Pep does, and like I say, and use that number 10, which will be different to see in the Premier League again now, because we don't see it anymore. It's just, I think it's getting the players back up, to scratch. One willing to play his style of football, and then it'd be interesting to see, this summer who they go for, because obviously again it's going to be completely different to what Klopp would want, and Slot might want someone different.
I still maintain it. I still maintain it. Klopp should not have announced his leaving so early, especially with him going for the title and how well it's gone, and now
it goes two ways, though, doesn't it? You'd say it can go two ways.
I just think it might. Initially, the players were fine, but it seems it's unsettled them more so in the last couple of months to me, But I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's like, oh, look at Ten Hag. They're saying all Dutch managers, they're not all the same. Koeman's name came up, and we know how much we hate Koeman. You can't relate them all and how they're going to do just because they're all Dutch. I didn't agree with that. I was like, the guy is going to have different ways of doing it. So I didn't agree with that. That's easy to say, isn't it? That Dutch managers have struggled, They
have. Koeman did okay. With Southampton, and in the first season with us, he did okay. But he then got a load of money in, splintered on a load of number 10s, and it's well known for that. And he didn't get Everton, did Ronald Koeman. He didn't understand the club. He didn't understand the fans, and we were pretty much a stepping stone to someone else like Barca, which that didn't go well when he went there anyway. Ten Hag, I feel sorry for because he's left with a load of shit, like in a way like Dyche is, but obviously they got a lot better players than we have, a lot better players than we have, and it's again it's another season of try and get rid of all the misfits, and again revamp that club. I think he's done okay. United have fallen hard a lot, haven't they? Especially since Mourinho was there. Mourinho won them a trophy, and they got second under Mourinho, who's, don't forget, is a free agent at the moment, Stuart. So he's loitering around. But I think Slot will be fine. I think the core of Liverpool, they're not going to lose a lot of players, are they? Let's be honest. They're going to still keep that core. And then he only needs to add to that then. Maybe another goal scorer, because Nunes is still raw, and I think he's still working things out, isn't he? He was
going great guns. He was going great guns, wasn't he? He was scoring. He's putting every single chance away, and then he's gone back to how he was a little bit. That's just, I know players dipping out of form. We know it all too well at our club, but he was really firing on all cylinders a couple of months ago, 2-3 months ago, and he's gone the other way. He was assisting as well. It wasn't just putting it in the back of the net. He was banging goals in. But like you said, alluding to what you said, Salah, it's just totally night and day with Salah now in front of goal. It's just nowhere near.
Has he lost his legs? Did he get his head turned by El Etihad before the end of the window back in August?
Yeah,
these are tangibles you've got to look at. Was he pissed off that Klopp said in November, right, I'm going now? Because there's such a tight group, aren't they, Liverpool, especially with Klopp and everything. So obviously it would have been a major shock. Mm-hmm. You saw the comment Van Dijk hit out a few days after Klopp announced that he was going to go at the end of the season, then retract it. All is not well, I suppose. I think are they frustrated that he said that he's going in November, and as you say, Stuart, not the end of the season.
I think it was too early. You've had the same similarly. I know it's Spain. Xavi announcing when he was going.
Now,
is he staying?
He's retracted now.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, right, okay. Bloody hell.
Only the last couple of days. He's
right, okay. So he's staying now. I mean, I tell you what, mate, they've got some right talent coming through, haven't they? He's bringing.
They always have, though. Let's be honest. They have a fantastic youth system in Barcelona.
Yamal looks really got great potential. The centre back as well. With he's been playing with Araujo, hasn't he, at the back? Yeah. The 17-year-old kid there. Like you say, they've always had the academy, haven't they? They've always had that to fall back on. Even with the financial pressures that they've come under over the the last 2 or 3 years. It's just crazy. Did you think Amorim might have gone? Because Sky Germany were reporting, he's leaving Lisbon to go to Liverpool, and then he came out days later and said, no, it's not. That's not happening.
Well, the link to West Ham come up now for him, hasn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, again, he's another one that you just don't know. And actually, Portuguese managers have been, other than Mourinho, not terribly well in the Premier League either.
No. Villas-Boas. That didn't work. That didn't work, did it? And we're not belittling the other leagues in Europe.
Not at all. But it's a different league, isn't it?
This is a different beast. The depth of the league. You don't have the depth even in the bottom half that we have, where results can go against you. You go away from home, you play someone, you underestimate a team. I think you can get away with it a little bit more on the continent, can't you?
Yeah, I think so. I totally agree.
That's a fact. So we will see what happens with Arne Slot over the next few weeks. We'll see coming to the end of the season if he will be announced as the Liverpool manager. And moving on, Chris, we've got a huge North London derby. Title implications still. City have got a game in hand, haven't they? They're a point behind Arsenal with a game in hand. It's looking like you did predict weeks and weeks ago that City would do it. To be fair, I went Liverpool. I mean, they're going to have to hope that Arsenal and City lose twice for them to even have a chance now. So I think I've cocked up there. But to be fair to you, you said City weeks and weeks ago. You were sticking with them. But we go to the North London derby. It's never an easy place going to Tottenham, is it? And it's going to be a huge, huge match on Sunday.
Well, let's be honest. We all thought when Harry Kane left, and don't get me wrong, Ange has proved a lot of doubt was wrong this season. And I think a lot of clubs in that top four who are now losing their managers would definitely want Ange as their manager, without a shadow of a doubt. But you know what? I think since Kane's left, they've got better. They're not so relying on him anymore, are they? And the goals are more shared. And I thought they bought really well in the summer. I think James Maddison is a top class player, and he's proved that enough with Spurs. You know, but you obviously know the North London derbies are, well, they're not like the Merseyside derby one, are they? Let's be honest. But it's a difficult one for Arsenal. You know what I mean? Because I think they'd probably rather not face them. And I think for Tottenham, they'd probably like us what we did to Liverpool on Wednesday night is stop them in their tracks and do anything within reason to stop them on Sunday from claiming that the Premier League. But you know what I mean? I think it's down to City now, game in hand, as you say.
Yeah,
and they completely destroyed Brighton yesterday.
It was just, and don't get me wrong, again, all the clubs have had injuries, Chris. We never make it a big thing, do we? All the clubs have injuries, especially teams in the mid-table and that. Brighton are struggling, but we've had it. It's the top-end clubs that can do it. They've got the squads, haven't they? But also, Chris, I'm looking there. Tottenham, it's massive for Tottenham because they've got 2 games in hand on Villa. I know Villa's goal difference is +5 better, but they're still going for that 4th spot, aren't they, as well? So, there's a situation there. There's a scenario there that Spurs need to win. Spurs need to win that game as well, don't they?
Obviously, Arsenal have played Villa twice, haven't they? Have City still got to play Villa?
I think they have, actually. I think that is one of theirs. I think it's like their hardest game, isn't it, in their last 5?
And I'm assuming that'll be away, won't it? Because I'm sure they've played them at home already. Again, Villa have been fantastic this season. And deserve to be where they are. Emre has to transform that team from where Steven Gerrard had it. And they were just floundering like we are. But he's stepped it up a notch for them. And Ollie Watkins, fantastic this season. You can't deny him being one of the best strikers this year. He stepped up for Villa completely. With like Diaby with the signing, and me and you both know how good Moussa Diaby is, and he was for Bayern Leverkusen. I think he's been a brilliant signing.
You've got Leon Bailey,
Zaniola's been a decent loan.
Yeah. Even at the back, mate, I've been very impressed this season with Ezri Konsa. And I know he's got himself into the England squad as well.
Yeah, well deserved.
It's a well-oiled machine, isn't it? It's very organised right the way across. You're right, mate. They probably exceeded expectations, and they're nearly on 2 points a game here. Do you know what I mean? They're only 2 points off 2 points a game, which is incredible. So, yeah, there's a fight. There's a fight there for Spurs and Villa, isn't it? But maybe Villa, have got enough there with to hold on to 4th. But it all hinges on what Spurs can do on Sunday, Chris.
It's possible, yeah. But if Spurs want to, get that last remaining Champions League spot, they're going to have to beat Arsenal, and then obviously then you are going to have to sort of rely on Villa maybe slipping up. I know you say they're 2 games behind. 2 games, yeah, they've got 2 games less played by them. They've got to also hope that Villa get stopped in their tracks as well. It's quite interesting, and you know what? It's quite intriguing, isn't it? Because obviously we've got the battle for the title, then a battle for the last spot of the Champions League, and then obviously below there's the battle for the last remaining is it Europa League and Conference. So it's all looking like it's going to build up to something decent towards the end of the season. No one's really running away with it, are they?
And I'm just obviously looking at the bottom here, Chris. We'll allude to it. We've spoken at length about Everton and what's going on with us. But again, it's Forest. Forest, unless, they get some on this appeal that they've put in because they're waiting to hear back. It's just
right.
I mean, even Burnley have had not a bad couple of months because they were well out of it. And I mean, when we played them, they were winning, they were drawing games. You know, we managed to come away with a 1-0 win, didn't we? But Burnley have had a bit of fight, haven't they? I thought they were dead and buried. I thought them and Sheffield United were going, and they've kind of resurrected it. You know, they're not out of it yet, are they?
No, I wouldn't say necessarily.
No.
And they've got some winnable games, and I'm sure Burnley and Sheffield United have still got to play Forest before the end of the season as well. You know, so I think, you know, if Forest don't pick anything else up, they're in danger. But as you say, they might get some points back, or maybe the FA will look at that lovely email they put out after the Everton game and think, nah, after that you get nothing. And maybe.
I'll be fair to Nuno Espirito Santo, Chris. He wasn't booting off in the post match, but whoever had hold of their social handles needs sacking. I think personally,
bit of a clown move that really, wasn't it? You know what I mean? I understand the frustrations.
Nuno showed a bit of class. You know, he was obviously angered about it, but he was. You know, he was logical. What he was saying, but yeah, you know, look, we've had it. Everyone's had VAR issues with VAR. There's no hiding place for that.
No,
you know, and we've been frustrated, haven't we, loads of times?
Yeah, we have, and not just this season, continuously the last couple as well. I look at it there though. You know, and if we
I'll pop it back up, mate. Sorry.
If we beat Brentford, you know what I mean? That's pulling them realistically. You know what I mean? I'm going a bit too ambitious here. But you could aim to be as close as to Palace as possible here. Yeah. I'm not saying...
I'll tell you what, he's done well at Palace though, hasn't he?
Big Oliver.
They were struggling. Weren't they? Roy couldn't get it going, could he? Glasner's come in, you know, done very well at Frankfurt.
He's another good manager.
Mateta's been fantastic. He scored loads of goals. He has been brilliant.
Couldn't hit a barn door.
No. It just goes to show, doesn't it? A different manager, a different ethos, a different way. Getting confidence into a player, it can speak volumes. It can speak volumes, can't it? But yeah, it's been so bloody, oh my God, topsy-turvy this season, hasn't it? But
yeah, but
Chris,
you could also remember that this season, as much as you say it's topsy-turvy, it's always going to be known for, you know, deduction season, isn't it? You're never gonna look at it as in the great escapes or the close title running or the close, you know, last Champions League spot or Europa or Conference League. It's always going to remember that season where the FA got it wrong and started taking points off clubs when they should have been taking points off clubs well above us for worse situations. I know I wouldn't go on about it too much, but you know what I mean? That's what I think when I think about this season once it ends.
Going into just extending about Europe, I just can't believe we've only got Villa left in all the competitions. We always have clubs across, don't we? Even as far as the semis. I tell you what, Madrid have done fantastic. Bayern obviously losing the title. They put all their eggs in the basket against Arsenal, didn't they? But I think Arsenal were unlucky, actually. It's just crazy that we've only got Villa left in the Conference League now. That's the only British team left.
This is one of them, and I said this to one of my friends who's a big City fan, and I said, this season probably would have been your best time to beat Madrid. I said, because when Mbappe goes there in the summer, you know, if that is to happen, and I'm assuming it will do, they're going to be even harder to beat next season. But you know what I mean? It's Carlo Ancelotti, and he always does this thing with Madrid, doesn't it? You think they're out, and they just rise again, don't they? And he's done really well with them this season anyway. You know, and Jude Bellingham's been terrific for them. But I guess, like, a lot of Europe teams have, you know, sort of closed out their league now, haven't they? You know, like Leverkusen already won the league, can now focus on Europa, where, you know, the likes of West Ham who played them are still battling for a spot. And maybe that comes to mind, like, where Zabi can be more relaxed with it now.
Another late goal for Leverkusen last weekend against Dortmund to get a draw, further cementing their undefeated season. So, yeah, I was just like, what minute was it? 91st minute, and they get an equaliser. And they were calling him Leverkusen in the second leg against West Ham. That's what they've become known as. But Boniface, I've been watching Boniface since he's come back. Big, rugged, old-fashioned in some respects. Like, he's got his back to goal, pacey, powerful. Considering he was out injured from December to March time, and he's been able to call upon people, and he's been able to rotate. And in a lot of ways, I wasn't surprised that he stayed on after winning the league. I mean, he made that decision before winning the league, didn't he? We were talking about it at length, weren't we? Was he going to go to Liverpool? Was he going to go to Madrid? So just amazing, the first title, the first Bundesliga for them.
And props to him. You know what I mean? To go, and I think they lost a lot of players in the summer. Yes, they always bring in more youthful talent, don't they? By Leverkusen, they've always been known for that, and then they flourish, don't they? And then they sell them on, get the next slot in. But he's done a fantastic job. He's just worked really well with what he's got, and as you say with Boniface. He's not been there. He's been injured for a long time, but they've still continued to carry on that philosophy that they've been doing all season.
Schick was getting a lot of goals. Grimaldo has been
good
amazing.
Free as well.
Hoffman's been on the bench quite recently. He came on in the first game against West Ham, and they turned the game when they brought him and Boniface on. He can do that. He's got Adley. He's got Nathan Teller. Frimpong didn't start a couple of games. I don't think he's got the ability of rotating there. Kova's been in goal. Heretsky was always in goal, wasn't he? For many years. But he changes it, and it works. It works, and just incredible what he's been able to do from only being there since October 2022, Chris, where they were 16th before he took over.
But this shows you that the right manager at the right time can change it. Like you're saying, Zabi, like Emre for Aston Villa, the right time, right manager, right ethos, the right philosophy, the right people in place, and they can turn a team around like that.
It can bear fruit, can't it? I forgot about Florian Wirtz there, because obviously on the title-winning game, he came on and scored a hat-trick. And it was just bedlam. It was absolute bedlam in there, wasn't it? It would have been amazing to be in the Bay Arena that day. And they stopped the game. They stopped the game before the final whistle, didn't they? Because the fans were going on the pitch. Like, it was just absolute crazy. But again, another talent that I think's gone on to another level under Xabi Alonso, because they've always said about him. Yeah. He was the heir apparent when Havertz went, wasn't he? But we've got this kid now. We'll bring him in to play that role. But I think Xabi Alonso is going to cultivate him. He's going to be one of the top players in European football.
I think so. And I also think they probably have ideas in mind that Wirtz and probably Boniface could be going in this summer. Because, I think like the likes of United have always looked at Wirtz, and they've been linked with Wirtz, haven't they? Whether or not they'll have the money to sign him, and I'd probably rather him go somewhere that he's going to be better for. Don't think United are the right club for him at the moment, if that was ever to happen. But props to Xabi Alonso. He's just blown the Bundesliga wide open.
Absolutely, just amazing after so many years where they fell short. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride, Leverkusen, wasn't it, Chris? Especially through the 90s and the early 2000s. It was just like they'd come back off that winter break and Bayern would do it. Bayern had just come back full tilt, wouldn't they? So, yeah. And it's the magnitude of how many points clear they are at Bayern. It's just the manner in which they've done it. And, Kane scored over 40 goals this season for Bayern. You can't put it on Harry Kane. How can people possibly put it on Harry Kane that's why it's happened?
I think it's the voodoo that Harry Kane has, though, isn't it? he moves to a club that are winning everything. He goes there and they can't win anything.
Chris, We can
Hello.
obviously be found on the Sports Social Network, Europe's biggest podcast network. I'm doing an unholy trinity here. I'm doing what Mike does when he does his little bit. I keep forgetting about Sports Social, Chris, because, you know, you got them in touch. Big Fight Weekly, they're with us there. Stu's Wrestling Podcast, of course, and obviously, more importantly, us here on Football Then and Now. You know, we're housed there, aren't we? It's great. Yeah. And also X, not Twitter. I'm not going to call it Twitter. It's Footy at Footy. Now then, it's the other way around. If you want to find us on X, you can type Football Then and Now into Facebook, Instagram, the same, I think, isn't it, Chris? If they type that in, they will find us, won't they?
Yeah, you can also do it on Spotify, Apple, all other places that obviously podcasts live. You will find Football Then and Now right there and then.
Thank you very much as well. And a good round up there, Chris. And then into next week, we will be looking at the toughest Premier League players. We've had to whittle it down because we're going to keep it quite concise. Again, when we were talking about video games and stuff like the football ones, we had so much more to talk about. I think with this, we'll do one episode on it and we'll probably come back to other players, won't we? Probably European-based players that were tough.
There's more in Europe you could sort of bring in as well, not just the Premier League.
But that will be episode 13. Unlucky for some. Probably, I wouldn't say unlucky for Big Dunk when he was throttling people, what we're going to talk about when he got his red card.
Punching people.
You know what? A lot of people just term him a thug. But look at what he was able to do, his touch. You know, they say about his heading ability and stuff like that. It kind of superseded him. Oh, he's a thug. We're going to be biased and say what a player Dunk was when we go into the episode. But I think he gets overlooked in that respect. People just say, he's just bloody, you know, a hard man.
He scored some good goals with his feet. Especially earlier on.
Absolutely.
In his career.
Thank you very, very much. It's been great rounding up, talking about loads of different stuff here this week. It's been good, me and you getting back together on this as well, doing an episode together. Really enjoyed it. And we will be back for episode 13, which is some of the toughest players to grace the Premier League from 1992 to the present day, but more so, you know, you couldn't get away with what they were getting away with back then. Or in Dunk's case, they weren't getting away. But imagine it now with VAR. Dunk could have had 30 red cards, I reckon.
I think he would have probably played about 1 or 2 games a season, wouldn't he?
But we love Dunk. We still love him. I've got him on the back of my shirt that I've had then. I've had Ferguson 9 on the back of that. But yeah, Chris, thank you very much as always. And we will see you very, very soon for episode 13. Take care, guys.
See ya.
Football Then and Now, a fun look at football nostalgia and the modern game intertwined. Join us.